All right, yo, what up? We're back at my favorite recording spot where I'm gonna probably do these on my lunch break to save time, so that I don't have to do this shit at home. When I would rather be doing other things. Also, I cannot figure out where to look at the camera here, so you're just gonna deal with me looking off to the side. Pretty sure most of you just use these for audio anyway, so whatever, you can get over it. Week 2. Welcome everybody after a extremely exciting week 1. Obviously, I put out the little quick video on Monday just letting you all know that Charlie was going to win. I don't know why anybody doubted me. I don't know. Nobody should have given Wade a shot. I'm sorry. We've seen this a million times. We've seen how it plays out. It was always going to be that way. And in our first week of rocking Fab, here's how everything shook out. Tim spent $18 on the Bills defense. Andrew spent $1 less somehow on a tight end. Harold Fannin Jr. $17. If you'll excuse me, my throat's been a little scratchy. Maybe he got me sick. So, let's see. Cam spent $25 on Justin Fields. We had John drop $40 on Justin Herbert. John also dropped $5 on the Cardinals defense. I got Hollywood for $12. Cedric Tillman went to Tim for $16. Trey Benson went to Andrew for $16. And Quentin Johnston went to Tim for $28, who then traded him to me for Terry McLaurin with Zay Flowers thrown in there, which was the actual trade. Quentin Johnston was more the filler. So yeah, that's how the waiver wire shook out this week. So here's the one issue with doing this from my phone is I don't know how this wheel is gonna look. I don't know if y'all can even see it. I don't know how if you can hear it, but here we go. I'm just gonna tap that bitch right there. There's ads because I don't have ad block on anymore. Can't even see what that says. Oh yeah, you like that backwards? Charlie would have crushed this last week. This is it says highest scoring bench for those who can't read in Mirror World. So yeah, make sure you bench all of your good players. John, I would appreciate if you really went hard to try to get that $10 this week. Hell, I'll double it. If you win highest scoring bench, I'll send you an extra $10 out of my own pocket. Yeah, so yeah, I didn't write shit down for these matchups, so let me pull them up real quick. And I guess we'll go through the standings real quick. It's week 1. Just myself in first place, most points, 1-0. Clay right behind me was very close. I think the DJ Moore fumble knocked him out of range. Not that I don't think he was in range, but whatever. John in third place, so we got a top 3 battle going on. We have Tim in 4th. We have Charlie in 5th as the last week 1 winners. Dawson with the highest scoring loser at 1-0, being our last playoff team currently. And then Andrew, Wade, Raleigh, and Cam bringing it up the rear, which is usually the other way around. Yeah, so let's start with the matchups. I get John this week, and a couple of beautiful matchups here. Christian McCaffrey and Ricky Pearsall against the Saints. Why does Pearsall have 0? Oh, they all have 0. Okay, all right. Whew. So a 0 on Pearsall and McCaffrey. Got nervous. I think we got a little glitch going on with the app. Big fucking surprise. But yeah, we got Ricky Pearsall and Christian McCaffrey playing against the 49ers. We got the Ravens against the Browns being the other half of my team. The Ravens-Browns matchup, I think, could get a little stinky. I'm nervous about that, obviously being so committed to the Ravens. I will say them coming off of that horrific loss on Sunday night, I think bodes a little bit better for me. If they end up winning that game in blowout fashion, you get a little bit of a lackadaisical trap game. But I don't think we get that. They lost, so they got to come out swinging. You can't really start 2-0, especially if you're a Super Bowl hopeful team. So I think they come out focused. They got that game in Baltimore, so I'm not necessarily scared there. On the flip side, Patrick Mahomes in the rematch with the Eagles. I am nervous about Bucky Irving on Monday night, pulling off a miracle, and Omarion. Damn, both your running backs on Monday night? I hate that. The Texans' defense is respectable. I think they put up a good fight against the run. Amarian Hampton against the Raiders is more scary. I think maybe the Chargers do kind of get back to trying to establish the run a little bit after slinging it all night last Thursday. Plus, it's the Raiders. If you're going to try to establish a run game, let me try to go up here. This shit looks like shit from the bottom. Shout out to UPS. So that does make me nervous. As well as Kelsey and Mahomes in the stack there against the Eagles with essentially no other receiving options. I do think I'm going to start Hollywood Brown, so I think maybe cut a little bit of the Patrick Mahomes sting out of it. But yeah, I am projected to win. Like I think it's like 118. The projections are fucked up on my iPad, so it's like 118 to like 113. I think. The 49ers Saints matchup is just so beautiful. So yeah, I'm going to go with that prediction there. We'll move on to Raleigh versus Andrew. Both sitting at 0-1. Both needing a win to kind of get their season jump started. Obviously, Joe Burrow and the Bengals look like shit against the Browns last week, but it's week 1. What else is new? The Bengals always kind of look like shit in week 1. So I would chalk that more up as a fluke than anything. Kamara gets a tough matchup against the 49ers, who kind of held the Seahawks in check. I guess we'll see if that was more about the 49ers or the Seahawks at this point. I do think it's probably a little bit of both. I think the Seahawks are kind of lacking an identity on offense right now. And the 49ers, I think, are better than they were last year on defense until everybody gets hurt again. But, I mean, Kamara is going to be the man. He's going to get volume. Yeah, that's all you can really ask for in this sport. On the other side with Andrew, we got Jaden Daniels in a very, very tough matchup Thursday night, tonight, I guess, when you're watching this, against the Packers. Obviously, he'll be running for Micah Parsons, running for his life all night. And Packers have a good defense at all. I mean, if you could assume that the Lions are still good. I mean, I know they lost the coordinators. There's probably going to be a step back, but I don't think anybody's sitting here saying the Lions are bad. They're extremely talented. And the Packers made him look like doo-doo. So, speaking of, Gibbs gets Chicago. The Vikings kind of figured out how to move the ball late in that game. J.J. McCarthy kind of woke up. I do think the Bears' defense is going to be pretty above average, maybe top 10 overall. But this is the chance for the Lions to come out and prove that it wasn't Ben Johnson, it wasn't Aaron Glenn. I think it was, but this is their chance to kind of change that narrative a little bit, especially against Ben Johnson. I think they're going to have some shit in their bag. So look for Gibbs to kind of come back out swinging hard there. So yeah, I mean, those are going to be the highlights here. Once again, iPad has Raleigh projected to win. I don't know if that's true. I do love the Bengals matchup against Jacksonville this week, and I'm going to pick Raleigh to win because of that. Which would be tough for Andrew, starting 0-2 and still eating some injuries. I know he was kind of hoping to kind of stay alive until you get Rashee Rice and Tajay Spears and some of those guys back into the mix, but this would be a tough way to start the season if that's going to be the case. Dawson against Wade, both looking for their first win this year. Dawson looking for his first win overall. Kind of got a tough draw last week. Did have one of the higher scores. He was the highest scoring loser. I mentioned that earlier. Just went up against John, who just edged him out. So yeah, I mean, we look at he's going to be kind of built off of the success of Bijan Robinson, who does get a pretty tough matchup in Minnesota this week with their stout defense. We just saw what they did to the Bears, which I guess isn't necessarily saying much at this point. Who knows? Maybe that win looks better at the end of the year. We'll see. Baker Mayfield, I think, had a pretty monstrous game. I know he threw 3 touchdowns. He had the 2 to Ibuka. It was a big week for quarterbacks last week. Quarterbacks are back. Yeah, 22.58 points, pretty solid week. But it only put him at QB 11. A lot of quarterbacks going off last week. And then you just got the consistency in James Conner. T. Higgins down there. I mentioned I like the Bengals to kind of get back into form this week. Brian Thomas kind of with the disappointment of week 1. Obviously, you got him as your keeper late, so if he busts, you're not destroyed. But what he had, 7 targets, caught 1 of 7 targets. Jesus Christ! I think I saw a stat that he had the highest uncatchable target rate out of week 1. So obviously, nothing he can do about that. I mean, that's a Trevor Lawrence stat. So We'll see if Trevor Lawrence can get that in check. Still extremely talented. You kind of see if he can get back on track against Cincinnati's defense. That's probably where you want to do it too. So, yeah, we'll see. And then we had the stinky Bo Nix game. Devon Achane with the Dolphins. He ended up scoring late to kind of salvage a good week there. Obviously, the big story for Wade's team week 1 was Emeka Egbuka. Scoring 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. Looks every bit as good as we thought he could be. And he gets that matchup with Houston. Now, that it is fun just because you have the quarterback opposite the wide receiver duo there. And then obviously ETN, I think had a pretty good week volume-wise. And he gets a defense that if you get enough volume, what do you have, 16 carries? Yeah, 143 yards. Yeah, damn, he had a good week. And he gets the Bengals. Yeah, I kind of love ETN right there. Damn, that's a lot. I do. The website hasn't projected Dawson. I think I'm going to go with Dawson. T. Higgins and Brian Thomas, and what could be a big time shootout in Jacksonville, Cincinnati. Really bad defense versus a kind of bad defense, and I'm not going to call Trevor Lawrence a great quarterback, but he's good enough to exploit the Bengals, I think. Yeah, I'm going to go with Dawson, although I do think it's going to be close. ETN is scary, and Egbuka is just fun, man. And we'll see if Bo Nix can get back into form. And then we got Cameron versus Charlie. Cameron kind of got stuck off the disappointment of the Cowboys in week 1. Obviously, it started out looking great. Somehow, CeeDee Lamb never found the end zone. Got close a couple times. Dak didn't have any rushing touchdowns or any touchdowns at all. Sorry. Javonte Williams sniped both of those. You don't really expect that to continue. So, I mean, that one CeeDee Lamb pass that was like right outside of the end zone, I think changes the whole week completely. So you expect him to look better, especially against the Giants defense, which is just nowhere near the level of the Philadelphia Eagles. What's his face? Jalen Carter or not. It really, I mean, I don't care. You're not competing with that. Somehow, Jonathan Taylor and Breece Hall did not find the end zone last week. I don't expect that to continue. Obviously, Derrick Henry just ran all over the Bills' defense, and I do think that's going to be – obviously, Derrick Henry's his own beast, but I do think that's going to be a common problem with the Bills this year, the defensive line. While they did add Joey Bosa to get a little bit of a pass rush, and Ed Oliver's really, really good. I just don't – they're more of a get after the quarterback team. I mean, they built their team to beat Patrick Mahomes, and you beat Patrick Mahomes by tackling him before he throws the football. So I do think that's going to be a team you can run on a little bit. And Breece Hall had a monster week against the Steelers defense. Jonathan Taylor also had a great week. Once again, it shocked neither one of them found the end zone. I do think that changes this week. And I think Dak has a better week. I think he comes out pissed off. Probably should have won. I think CD comes back with a little bit better focus. So we should see some improvements there. Oh, Kyler versus Bryce in the Tiny Bowl? Oh, man, that's going to be a good time. What did Kyler put up last week? Kyler, 18 points. I mean, against the Saints, it's kind of what he is. If he can get a rushing touchdown and get some big chunk plays, he can sneak up there as far as the point totals go. Charlie was mostly hampered by, for a while, he was hampered by Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones until that team kind of figured it out and put it together. It looks like as of now he's got Aaron Jones on the bench, which I don't necessarily disagree with. Javonte Williams plugged in. We'll see if Javonte Williams can repeat that performance. Obviously, you're not getting 2 touchdowns every week, but the big chunk plays, the yardage totals that he was getting, we'll see if that's sustainable within the Cowboys offense this year with Brian Schottenheimer at the helm. Kyron Williams, I think, gets a pretty tough matchup against Tennessee. Their defense was looking pretty good the other day against Bo Nix. Maybe Bo Nix just fucking sucks. But yeah, I mean, Kyron put up a decent week last week, 66 rushing yards and a touchdown. He's kind of the straw that stirs the drink there. But the biggest question at the end of the day is going to be, is J.J. McCarthy going to be that consistently good as he was in the fourth quarter? Are we getting the first 3 quarters of J.J. McCarthy? His entire career would tell you we're going to get that exact same performance where he looks like absolute fucking dog shit for 75% of the game, and then you look up and he somehow won and has 300 yards passing. And then Garrett Wilson. I mean, Garrett Wilson looked damn good. The Jets looked good. Shocked at the Jets offense. In fact, I forgot that Cam picked up Justin Fields, so something to keep an eye on there. We'll see if he starts him. I don't think you can necessarily go wrong with either play, Prescott or Fields. Obviously, you want the rushing upside. Fields is right there. And we just saw what a rushing quarterback could do to the Bills' defense, although not to put Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields anywhere near the same category. Right now, the website, according to my glitched-ass iPad, has this projected to go to Charlie. It's kind of hard to bet against him. I do think I like the consistency of Cameron's team a little bit better right now. Not to say that Charlie can't get a win here. I will go with Cameron just for the, I think if they each have their average week, Cameron wins. But we all know nothing is average with Charlie around. And then to round it out, we got Timmy versus Clay. Tim obviously really leaned heavily into the Eagles. They get a tough matchup this week with the Chiefs. Although the Chiefs were giving up chunk play after chunk play to the Chargers, so we'll see if their defense can kind of live up to what they were last year. I don't know if that had more to do with the Chargers than it did the Chiefs. I guess we're going to find out this week. I guess not really, man. The Eagles' defense is fucking good. Jalen and Saquon looked so good. I think I kind of predicted Jalen to have a big day throwing the ball. Obviously, that didn't really happen. He had a big day with his legs, had a pretty okay day throwing the football. That's just what the Eagles are, man. Obviously, Tim adding Terry McLaurin looks like he's already got him plugged in the starting lineup. I hated the matchup with Green Bay this week. I think even if he was on my team, there was a chance he was riding the bench. So I don't think he's going to have a good week. Obviously, Tim fell in love with him. Terry McLaurin's kind of a deep threat guy anyways, a little bit boomer plus. So all it takes is one play with him to go 75 yards to the house. And that's kind of his calling card. So, if you can get one of those, you kind of love what you're sitting with. Everything else just a little bit of icing on top. Obviously, Josh Allen with a monster week. Number 1 player in fantasy this week. Number 1 player, number 1 quarterback, number 1 player overall, number 1 player at our hearts. He gets the Jets. I think the Jets have given him some trouble in the past. We'll see coming off that big emotional win if you can kind of keep it going. Obviously, you want to start 2-0. You're trying to get home field advantage. You're trying to make Kansas City or Baltimore, whoever, come play you. So you would love to see him stay focused there, but kind of in a spot where traditionally you may see some teams kind of take a step back. And then we got Ashton Jeanty, who looked okay in his debut. Wasn't exactly the most efficient, but he did end up in the end zone. 19 carries for 38 yards. We'll see if he can kind of get things going. It's not like it gets easier. He also has the Chargers this week. So we'll see kind of how that plays out. I do think Malik Neighbors against the Dallas defense. I did project A.J. Brown to go crazy, but when you're giving up those chunk plays on the ground, you don't really get away from that. So I like Malik Neighbors. The problem is Russell Wilson, and it sounds like he's starting again this week. So, we'll see how that goes. But I do think if there's a team you can exploit there, I do like that against the Cowboys. And then Chuba Hubbard, just the the idea of like a guy you forget about who's going to give you 15 points and you just don't know where they came from. So once again, glitched iPad has Clay winning this matchup. And I do think I'm going to agree with that. I don't like Terry McLaurin. I think this is one of the Eagles' tougher games. So if you're going to have a game where Saquon and Hurts won't kill you, this will be it. So I'm going to go with Clay to start 2-0, Timmy 1-1, and that'll recap all your games this week. I'm not going to watch this whole thing. Let me know how the audio is with the fucking thing here. If it sucks, sorry. I guess it'll be better next week maybe. But I'm not recording this again, so peace.